Her Majesty's private study is just down this hall and around the corner. It's one of the oldest rooms in the castle.
Old but gold. I'm telling you, that little study is like the coziest chamber ever. She's been in there a lot, too. Probably because she has such a nice view of the gardens from there.
Princess Celestia has her own reasons, and it's not your job to speculate about them, Private.
Okay, jeez. Say, what took you so long anyway? Did you walk all the way from Saudi Arabia? I mean, Mom's been missing you like crazy.
Private, don't call her that.
Oh, why not, Stouty? I think she likes it.
Because she's the supreme ruler of all of Equestria and deserves to be addressed with the utmost respect, even in front of her personal student. And you're supposed to address me as Sir, by the way.
Sir, there's 4 princesses last time I checked, sir. Next week, it might even be 5, sir.
On second thought, call me Stouty.
Sir, yes, sir.
What did I do to deserve this?
I wonder who the next princess will be. Maybe it's me.
Oh, sweet powers that be, hear me pray. Don't let it be so. Anyone but her. Well then, here we are. Her Majesty's royal study in the western corner.
Should I call Mom or you?
For the last time, it's Princess Celestia. Princess Celestia!
Yes?
Oh, Your Highness. Your student has just arrived.
Oh? Well, don't just stand there. Let them through.
At once, Mom. I mean Princess Celestia.
Way to go, Sarge. Real smooth. Good luck in there.
Well. If it isn't my dear student in the flesh. And 2 days earlier than expected, too. Full of surprises, as usual, aren't you? Oh, come here, you big silly. I've missed you. Life in the castle is just not the same when you're gone. There's no pony that's as good of a listener as you are. If I utter so much as a word, everyone just jumps to their hooves, acting like I announced a national crisis. They can't quite seem to grasp that I sometimes like to have a conversation like a pony, not like a princess. And of course, my daily routine feels just not quite right without being asked a lot of silly questions. Oh, what's with that pout? You know I'm kidding. For the most part. Say, you look exhausted. You didn't rush your trip back, did you now? You did, didn't you? I told you there was no need to do that. I've been here for 1,000 years, and I'm not moving anytime soon. And while I appreciate the effort, you look like it took quite a toll on you. I was anticipating sharing stories over a cup of tea, but it's a bit harder to do so when one party is falling asleep right where they stand. Don't you agree? Now, chin up. Just because you're tired now doesn't mean I'll let you get away with that later. We can simply reschedule, and you can get some rest now if you need it. Unless... Well, let's just say that I have some work with a quill left to do today. And I could use someone to keep me company. You don't need to do anything, really, as long as you're a better listener than that bookshelf over there. Great. I'll make sure not to be too loud. That way, if I start talking too much, you can just fall asleep and not feel bad about it. Though you tend to do that a lot anyways. Oh, if you don't stop making those silly, embarrassed faces, I will not be able to finish my work today. Work. The life of a princess is filled with two things, it seems. Ceremonies and making new laws. I understand that new discoveries make some laws and rules obsolete, but having to consult decrees I made a few centuries ago just to make sure the guidelines for the production of the new extra chewy taffy are not contradicting anything, that is a bit too much. It doesn't help that the scroll is from 400 years ago, and looks like it was written by a pony who is not fully awake. Though now that I think about it, I remember being a bit under the weather that day. Something about too much cake eaten the previous evening. Ugh, I knew I'd come to regret that party eventually. How funny that. You'd think that the element of joy could get away with partying all she wants. But no, apparently the severe lack of fun involved in the quill work counteracts my privileges. I tried to change that, you know. To put some joy into the process of making new laws. Oh, but no matter what I do, it always loops around to the same tedium. Oh, sorry if I sound a bit grumpy. There are times when deciding on laws can be quite interesting, I have to admit. Just not when you're studying a taffy recipe from eons ago. Without any of it to eat for yourself. I really should reinstitute the law that allowed me to create a new ruling by trying something first-hoofed. It was particularly useful when dealing with matters you could quite literally try for yourself. So many culinary edicts resolved swiftly. So many pastries taken care of. Well, unfortunately, I had to abolish it after a rather unfortunate incident. Let's just say that not everything is made to be used by an alicorn. And a poor water park owner had to learn it the hard way one day. Of course, all the damage to the slides was repaired on the Crown's budget. But after having to free myself from one using magic, I'd rather not do it again. Even if I had a great time before that. Come to think of it, I'm pretty sure that facility is still up and running today. Princess's Escape by the Horseshoe Bay. Some names have quite a story behind them. And not every one of them can be found in a history book either. At least not the full one. For instance, there was this particular ball held annually in Canterlot. It was an ancient tradition, old as the city itself. That makes it actually older than me, if you can believe it. Its exact origins are lost to time, but it is most likely that it was related to the yearly re-election of the Sky Council. The Council was a group of 12 unicorns, selected on the basis of their magical abilities and devotion to studies. They would spend their next year guiding the sun and moon, making sure that the natural order remained uninterrupted. So it was only natural that some pony decided a celebration should be held, marking the eve of their new task. Something to keep their chins up and their spirits high. For it was a truly daunting task ahead of them. They were to sacrifice a full dozen moons from their lives, in a constant service to the land and the various folk living in Equestria. But not only that, they had to pay a bigger price still. For once their duty was over and the new ponies replaced them, they would be almost fully devoid of magic. A terrible fate for the most talented magicians of their era. To see the sparkle of their youth and talent snuffed out in mere moments. But they knew it had to be done, and when the call was made, they volunteered despite the cost. Thanks to their bravery, every young colt, filly, chick, or cub was able to sleep soundly under the moon, and go on about their day carefree in the warm sunlight. It was always symbolic in a way to me. A peaceful existence being assured by the sacrifice and the vigilant watch of others. You don't have to move celestial bodies across the sky or watch over every pony's dreams to be some pony's guardian. And likewise, you don't have to look as far to see someone watching over you. But there will always be that someone out there, keeping you safe. That's simply the way things are. Just like when you traveled all the way to Saddle Arabia just to research the nature of the magical sandstorms plaguing our southern settlements. And just how the caravan ponies kept you safe and warm during the journey, ensuring that you could succeed in the mission. You worked together, ensuring that you could accomplish what a single pony could not. That is the foundation of Equestria, after all. Harmony and joint effort, allowing us to create wonderful things, such as that annual ball. Which got a whole lot more cheerful, by the way, once the need for ponies draining their magic every day was taken away. And all it took was a certain pair of young, dashing princesses from outside the land to set things right. Once their magic was given back to them and the council disbanded, some have put forward a crazy idea to do away with the annual party. Needless to say, those outrageous changes never became more than a bunch of ill advice, and all that happened was a shift in the mood. That and a bit more cake. Oh, don't look at me like that. You remind me of my sister. It was my moment, after all. Plus, I didn't even have to ask. It was someone else's idea. But regardless, the celebration has lost its grim undertones, and every pony could just enjoy themselves. It was a huge success in the first years, and the event to look forward to all year long. But sadly, as all things happening in Canterlot tend to be, it started becoming somewhat stiff over time. You would think that given the origin, it would be a party for every pony to enjoy. But, as always, some nobles had better ideas on how to run the world. They started pushing for restricting access, calling on the fact that the ball was always based on invitations. Worst part was, I couldn't exactly dismiss them outright. The celebration was always quite a sting on the crown budget, and having it stay that way only to celebrate myself would be selfish. So I had no choice but to meet them halfway. They would fund most of the celebration. In turn, up gaining a large share of the newly printed tickets to give away as they saw fit. Meanwhile, the remaining pool would either be sold to cover the remaining expenses, or granted to ponies who deserved it in my eyes. It was not the ideal solution, as there were those who could simply not afford the entry and would not be able to attend. But it was the best option at the time, and so it came to be. I'm sure you can imagine the sudden shift in the attendees, how they dressed and acted. While the ball at its inception was a distinguished and noble occasion, the newer version of it was pushing it a bit too far for my taste. And I couldn't just leave it that way, now could I? Well, as luck might have it, I was approached by a certain young and talented unicorn not long before the first ball with restricted attendance. Sound familiar, by the way? She was especially skilled in the art of illusions and conjuring images. Her livelihood has mostly originated from being a traveling show pony, but her dream was to perform on our annual celebration. I can still remember the disappointment in the poor mare when she found out that she could not attend with the new changes. Instead, she decided to chase her goals and found herself having an audience with me. She explained how she was afraid to make a move before, worrying that her skills were not sharp enough. Sure enough, though, once I asked her to give me a taste of what she was capable of, I was simply amazed. The poor little pony had nothing to fear, as her spectacle was simply mesmerizing, even for a grumpy old princess like me. She came to my castle with the intention of bargaining for a price she could purchase the ticket at. Instead, she was invited to the ball, with but a simple request I made of her. Sometimes, the only thing holding us back is ourselves. It can be hard to take a risk and chase your dreams, but it can be even harder to wish you did for the rest of your life. In the end, what's the worst that could happen? Well, in the case of that unicorn, it was being part of a small joke I came up with. You see, her show was a huge success and entertained all but the staunchest of noble ponies. But shortly after every pony came back to their seats, the last trick I asked her to do happened. The table with the most upright, stiff nobles, because of course they had to have a separate table, suddenly started shaking. And out of nowhere, a large dragon appeared from the wall, marching straight at them with clouds of ethereal smoke fuming from its nostrils. It was obviously yet another brilliant illusion from the talented mare. But it just so happened that some ponies were a bit too busy chatting amongst themselves to connect the dots. The panic in which they galloped away was just priceless. Chairs were tumbling, napkins were flying, and dresses were being dragged along the floor. And I will simply never forget the sight of Counselor Goldenhooves wielding a full-size celery stalk as a weapon against the beast. Just the way his... and how the clothes clashed with the celery, and his eyes, and when Luna started tossing apples at the dragon. Oh my hooves, the celery! And ever since that day, this ball was known as the Grand Galloping Gala. All I needed to do for the decades to come was to remind that story to any noble who tried to out-princess the princess. Which is a perfect happy ending, if you ask me. If you looked tired before, now you're falling asleep right where you are. I always knew I was good at telling bedtime stories, but you are just flattering me now. My sister may be the one responsible for dreams and guiding ponies through them, but I always had a gift for sending others into that realm. I'm pretty sure the first pony to mention that to me meant it as an insult. Something about me being boring. Needless to say, he was not so smug anymore when I took it to heart and started monthly readings of bedtime stories to the young colts and fillies of Canterlot. Regardless, I think you need some rest now. We will speak at length about your findings tomorrow. For now, though, you're relieved of your duty. You're still free to stay if you feel like it. Those chairs are quite cozy after all. I made sure of that myself. Of course, one should not venture into my sister's domain without a blanket, lest they catch a cold. Especially after returning from a much warmer Saddle Arabia. I might be the princess of the sun, but I doubt even I'm warm enough to keep this spacious room at southern temperatures. Just a bit over here. There, all snuggled up. Now you're ready to venture into the dreamscape. Except, you know, it is rather rude to sleep through one's time of day, isn't it? A lesser pony might have taken offense to that. But do not worry, I know the perfect solution to that problem. It is my sun after all, and I get to decide when to lower it. There. It has been a long day as is. Sometimes, even I wish for the moon to take the day over a bit earlier. And now I had the perfect excuse. Didn't I, sleepyhead? I'll take care of questions in the morning. But for now, all I need to do is finish a few of those parchments. And all you need to do is let the sleep envelop you. Unless you want a lullaby to complete the experience, that is. Actually, to Tartarus with it. We might as well do it properly, right? Plus, all this talk about ancient times reminded me of a certain song, perfectly fit for now. Stretch out, little darling, easy in your bed. Forget all your worries, rest your weary head. For come morning time, when we rise as one, to a dawn sublime, we're greeted by the sun. I'll drape you in sunlight and a warm embrace as we share the delight this new day to face. Yesterday's a dream, tomorrow is a vision, but to me it would seem today is your decision. Rest now, little darling, blissful in your bed. Forget all your worries, rest your weary head. Slumber, little darling, safely in your bed. Forget all your worries, rest your weary head. Do not dwell on blunders or mistakes made before, for they produced a wonder, the student I adore. I'll drape you in sunlight and a warm embrace as we share the delight this new day to face. Yesterday's a dream, tomorrow is a vision, but to me it would seem today is your decision. Sleep tight, little darling, soundly in your bed. Forget all your worries, rest your weary head. It's been a while since I got to sing that song. Now, I'm sure you have many things to dream about after the journey. Let them come. The more vivid they are, the better your stories will be tomorrow. After all, there is no wrong way to fantasize. And should any of them upset you, I'll make sure to have a word with my royal sister. It's funny how rare I get to say it, but good night.
everything all right? We were worried something happened to you when the sun came down. Did your student...
Yes, the journey back was more tiring than anticipated.
Then you lowered your sun for them to sleep.
Maybe.
You could have just used curtains, sister.
Actually, I don't think I have them installed in this study yet.
I take it that you do not need anything then?
No, I assure you, we're quite okay.
Very well. I suppose I'll just attend to my duties a bit earlier tonight.
Oh, you're the best, Luna.
Am I not?
Oh, and sister,
Yes?
if you could make sure that my student has some quiet dreams, I would be very grateful.
I'll see what I can do.
Thank you.